You don't destroy an enemy by confronting them. You destroy them by making sure they never recover, never regroup, never rise again. Most people think power is about dominance. Niccolò Machiavelli knew better. True power is finality, the kind that leaves no room for retaliation, no chance for revenge, no path back. An enemy is most dangerous when you wound them and walk away, because wounded enemies don't forget. They wait, they adapt, and they strike when you're not looking. This is why the most intelligent men in history did not seek victory. They sought erasure. They understood one brutal law: an enemy left breathing is an enemy still planning. Today, you're going to learn Niccolò Machiavelli's darkest rule of power. Not how to scare an enemy, not how to intimidate them, but how to crush them so completely that they are never a problem again. Listen carefully. This is not philosophy. This is execution. You don't defeat an enemy by hurting them once. You defeat them by making sure they never psychologically recover. Niccolò Machiavelli understood something most people are too soft to accept. An enemy does not need strength to be dangerous. They only need memory. As long as they remember the humiliation, the loss, or the threat you represent, they remain alive in spirit. This is why partial victories are the most expensive mistakes you can make. When you embarrass someone publicly, challenge them openly, or undermine them halfway, you create a permanent obsession. They replay the moment, they study you, they wait for weakness, and eventually, they return. Niccolò Machiavelli warned that mercy, when misused, plants the seeds of revenge. An enemy spared emotionally is not grateful. They are humiliated, and humiliation is fuel. To crush an enemy in spirit, you must remove their belief that they can ever touch you again. Not today, not later, not indirectly. This is not about violence. It is about psychological finality. You do this by denying them narrative control. Enemies survive on stories. The story that they were wronged, the story that they will come back stronger, the story that time is on their side. You erase those stories by never acknowledging the conflict again. Silence after dominance is devastating. When you win and disappear, the enemy is left alone with uncertainty. They don't know if you're watching. They don't know if you've already moved on. They don't know where they stand. That uncertainty corrodes them. Niccolò Machiavelli understood that fear fades, but inevitability destroys hope. When an enemy realizes you are untouchable, unavailable, and uninterested, something breaks internally. They stop planning. They stop waiting. They stop believing. Another brutal element of this law is consistency. If you re-engage emotionally, even once, you resurrect them. You give them relevance. You give them purpose. That is why dangerous men never reopen old battles. The enemy must feel erased, not defeated, forgotten, not forgiven. When they can no longer locate themselves in your world, their spirit collapses. This is the first law because everything else depends on it. An enemy alive in spirit will sabotage, whisper, and wait forever. An enemy erased psychologically disappears on their own. Niccolò Machiavelli did not seek endless conflict. He sought permanent outcomes, and the most permanent victory is the one that leaves no enemy standing inside their own mind. This law is uncomfortable because it demands discipline, restraint, and silence. But those who master it never fight the same enemy twice, because the enemy dissolves long before conflict can ever return. Mercy feels noble, but in power dynamics, mercy is memory. The law of total erasure is brutal because it contradicts everything you were taught about being good. You were told forgiveness heals. You were told letting things go makes you free. Niccolò Machiavelli understood the opposite. Mercy, when given to an enemy, does not end conflict. It postpones it. When you spare someone who has already declared psychological war on you, you are not showing strength. You are leaving a wound open. That wound becomes identity. They build their future around undoing what you did to them. An enemy does not interpret mercy as kindness. They interpret it as unfinished business. They replay the loss, searching for meaning. They rewrite the story until revenge feels justified, even necessary. This is why partial victories are dangerous. You silence them publicly, but allow them access privately. You outgrow them, but keep emotional ties. You dominate the moment, but remain available afterward. Each of these keeps the enemy alive in spirit. Total erasure does not mean cruelty. It means removal. You remove access. You remove relevance. You remove the possibility of future interaction. Niccolò Machiavelli understood that people fear disappearance more than punishment. Punishment gives closure. Disappearance creates obsession. When someone can no longer reach you, affect you, or even be acknowledged by you, their mind collapses inward. They search for reactions that never come. They plan moves that never land. Eventually, the war ends because there is no battlefield left. Mercy creates hope, and hope is the most dangerous gift you can give an enemy. Hope tells them time is on their side, that patience will be rewarded, that you will soften. The law of total erasure denies hope completely. No explanations, no second chances, no emotional residue. You do not announce it. You do not dramatize it. You simply disappear from their narrative. This law requires self-control. Re-engaging feels tempting. Clarifying feels tempting. Correcting the story feels tempting. Every temptation must be resisted, because the moment you respond, you resurrect them. Niccolò Machiavelli knew that power is not maintained by reaction, but by finality. When an enemy realizes there is no path back to you, no redemption arc, no confrontation waiting in the future, something irreversible happens. They stop seeing you as an opponent. They see you as a closed door. And closed doors end wars permanently. Not loudly, not dramatically, not with threats or speeches. Just absence, consistency, and time doing the work for you. That is how total erasure finishes what mercy never could. Power is rarely lost in a single moment. It is bled away slowly. Most people fight enemies at the surface level. They argue, they confront, they correct behavior, they attack symptoms. Niccolò Machiavelli warned that this is how fools exhaust themselves, because what you see is never the real threat. The insult is not the enemy. The betrayal is not the enemy. The disrespect is not the enemy. Those are branches. The root is always deeper, and until the root is destroyed, the branches will grow back stronger. The root is leverage, access, dependency, position, influence over perception. An enemy survives not because they are bold, but because something still feeds them. Attention feeds them. Access feeds them. Emotional reaction feeds them. Relevance feeds them. Cut one branch and they adapt. Cut two and they become quieter. But leave the root intact and they regenerate. Niccolò Machiavelli understood that true destruction is surgical. You do not react emotionally. You do not attack publicly. You do not create martyrs. You isolate the source of their power. If they gain strength through proximity, you remove proximity. If they gain strength through information, you cut information. If they gain strength through reputation manipulation, you step out of the narrative entirely. This is why loud victories fail. They announce resistance. They warn the enemy. They invite counter moves. Quiet removal leaves nothing to fight. The mistake most people make is believing confrontation equals strength. Confrontation feels decisive. It feels brave, but it keeps the enemy centered. Niccolò Machiavelli taught that the smartest move is the one your enemy never understands until it is irreversible. When the root is destroyed, confusion follows. They feel something is wrong, but cannot name it. Their usual tactics fail. Their influence evaporates. They lash out randomly. They overplay their hand. They expose themselves without you lifting a finger. That is how you know the root has been severed. Destroying the root requires patience. It requires restraint. It requires resisting the urge to win publicly. You do not seek validation. You do not seek closure. You do not seek acknowledgement. You seek finality. Because once the root is gone, there is nothing left to destroy. The branches fall on their own. The conflict dies without ceremony, and the enemy disappears, not defeated, but irrelevant. That is real power. Victory is not about beating someone once. It is about removing their ability to stand again. Most people misunderstand winning. They think winning is humiliation. They think winning is dominance in the moment. They think winning is being seen as stronger. Niccolò Machiavelli warned that this kind of victory is temporary. It satisfies the ego, not strategy. A wounded enemy remembers. A humiliated enemy studies. A defeated but alive enemy waits. To win completely, you must do something far colder. You must make recovery impossible. This does not mean constant aggression. It means structural superiority. When you win so completely, your enemy is not angry. They are disoriented. They cannot tell where they went wrong. They cannot trace the loss back to you. Their options vanish one by one. They lose access. They lose allies. They lose relevance. They lose confidence. And most importantly, they lose the belief that challenging you is worth the cost. Niccolò Machiavelli understood that men are driven by expectation. If someone believes resistance leads to reward, they resist. If someone believes resistance leads only to loss, they comply or retreat. Total victory is psychological finality. You do not chase revenge. You do not gloat. You do not explain. You simply move forward so far, so cleanly, that they are left behind with no bridge to cross. This is where most people fail. They win an argument, but stay in the relationship. They expose a betrayal, but keep the same access. They dominate a moment, but leave the structure untouched. Niccolò Machiavelli would call this incomplete warfare. Real victory alters the environment. You position yourself where their presence no longer matters. You build leverage that does not depend on them. You create independence so absolute that their actions become noise. When they attempt to return, they find nothing familiar. No role, no influence, no emotional entry point. This is devastating, not because it is cruel, but because it is final. Recovery requires relevance. Recovery requires access. Recovery requires opportunity. You remove all three. And here is the paradox Niccolò Machiavelli understood better than most. The quieter your victory, the more permanent it becomes. There is no rallying cry against silence, no revenge against absence, no counterattack against indifference. By the time they realize they have lost, there is no battlefield left, only distance, only hierarchy, only the quiet understanding that the game ended long ago, and they were never told. That is what it means to win completely. Not to destroy your enemy loudly, but to leave them without a path back into your world. And if this law feels uncomfortable, if it feels ruthless, that's because most people were never meant to understand power at this level. If you're still here, it means you're not here for motivation. You're here for truth. Write this in the comments. I don't leave wars unfinished. Not for me, for your own mind. Subscribe to this channel if you're done playing fair in a world that never was. Turn on notifications, because the next law goes even darker, and most people won't be ready for it. Power is not secured in private. It is secured in perception. Most people make a fatal mistake after they win. They hide. They retreat. They assume silence protects them. Niccolò Machiavelli understood the opposite. Silence protects strategy. Visibility protects dominance. If your victory is invisible, it invites challenge. If your victory is misunderstood, it invites imitation. But if your victory is seen without its mechanics being understood, it creates fear. This is the balance. Your results must be public. Your methods must remain hidden. When people see you rise, advance, or prevail, they must see certainty, but never process. They should know that you won. They should never understand how. This is how authority stabilizes itself. Public victory rewrites hierarchy. It signals who is above and who is below. It tells the room who adapts and who submits. But when strategy becomes visible, power leaks. People reverse engineer you. They prepare counters. They study your playbook. Niccolò Machiavelli warned that a ruler who reveals his methods trains his enemies for free. That is why true operators speak little about process. They allow others to believe the outcome was inevitable. Notice how powerful figures behave after winning. They do not explain. They do not justify. They do not narrate their struggle. They simply are where they are. This creates a psychological gap. Observers fill that gap with imagination. And imagination always exaggerates danger. When people cannot trace cause and effect, they assume hidden strength. They assume foresight. They assume reach. This is far more intimidating than transparency. Your enemy should never know whether you won through patience, alliances, leverage, or timing. They should only know that challenging you ended badly, and badly in a way they cannot replicate. Public victory also serves another function. It prevents retaliation. When your success is visible and uncontested, others hesitate to align against you. No one wants to back a losing side. No one wants to oppose momentum. Niccolò Machiavelli knew that power compounds when it appears stable. People submit, not because they are convinced, but because resistance feels pointless. That is the moment you want to create, where opposition dies before it forms. This does not require arrogance. It requires restraint. You allow your environment to speak for you. Your position becomes your argument. Your outcome becomes your defense. And when people ask questions, you answer vaguely. When they probe, you redirect. When they speculate, you remain silent. Because the less they know, the more they assume. And assumption is the most efficient weapon in psychology. Here is the final layer. When your victory is public, but your strategy is invisible, even allies stay cautious. They respect you, but they do not grow careless. They know you win. They do not know how. That uncertainty preserves your edge. Niccolò Machiavelli did not teach secrecy for drama. He taught it for longevity. Visibility without explanation is how power survives scrutiny. So remember this: never hide your success. Never explain your methods. Let them see the crown. Let them guess at the cost. That uncertainty will protect you longer than any defense ever could. War does not end when emotions cool. It ends when capacity is removed. Most people misunderstand conflict. They think distance ends it. They think time heals it. They think silence dissolves it. Niccolò Machiavelli understood something far colder. Unfinished wars do not disappear. They go dormant. And dormant enemies are more dangerous than active ones. If you defeat someone partially, you give them a gift. Time to adapt. Time to study you. Time to resent you. This is how endless conflict is born. People who believe in moving on without resolution condemn themselves to repeated battles with the same opponent wearing different masks. Niccolò Machiavelli warned that mercy, when it leaves power intact, is not virtue. It is negligence. An enemy who survives with resources, reputation, or narrative will return. Not louder, smarter. That is why the final law is brutal but necessary. You either end the war once, or you fight it forever. Ending a war does not require violence. It requires finality. Finality means removing their ability to harm you again, socially, strategically, psychologically. This can look like dismantling influence, severing access, collapsing credibility, or outgrowing them so completely they lose relevance. But it must be irreversible. The mistake most people make is stopping at emotional relief. They feel better, so they assume it's over. But the other side is still watching, still calculating, still waiting. Niccolò Machiavelli believed that people forgive slowly, but remember power forever. If someone challenges you and survives without consequence, they learn something dangerous. That you hesitate, and hesitation invites repetition. True endings are unmistakable. They leave no ambiguity, no unfinished business, no illusion of a rematch. This is why decisive leaders act once, not repeatedly. One clean conclusion costs less than 1,000 defensive moves later. Another critical layer, public perception. If observers see that conflicts with you always drag on, they assume weakness. If they see that challenges against you end cleanly and quietly, they assume cost. And people avoid what feels expensive. Ending the war once also protects your future. Every unresolved conflict drains attention. Every lingering enemy taxes focus. Every unfinished fight steals momentum. Niccolò Machiavelli valued economy of force. Do not waste your life managing enemies you should have neutralized. This does not mean cruelty. It means clarity. When you decide a conflict is over, you ensure it truly is. No reopening, no reconciliation fantasies, no second chances disguised as morality. Because power that must constantly defend itself is not power. It is exhaustion. The strongest position is this: one confrontation, one outcome, permanent closure. Anything less is an invitation to repeat history. And history, when ignored, always returns, with interest. End the war once, or accept that you chose to fight it forever. You were never meant to fight everyone. You were meant to end things once, and permanently. That is the difference between men who survive conflict and men who shape the outcome. Most people think mercy makes them moral. Niccolò Machiavelli understood something darker. Mercy without dominance only delays revenge, and delayed revenge always returns stronger. From this point forward, You move differently. You do not escalate emotionally. You do not chase closure. You do not explain your victories. You end threats at the root. You win completely. And once the war is over, you never allow it to restart. If this message felt heavy, if it made you uncomfortable, good. That means you're beginning to think beyond weakness. Write this in the comments. I finish wars, not for approval, for commitment. Subscribe if you're done playing fair. In an unfair world, turn on notifications. The next lesson goes even deeper. The weak argue forever. The dangerous decide once. And then they are left alone.